Good morning, early game crew. We are 437 hours, 10 minutes, and 3 seconds until toe meets leather in Atlanta between South Carolina and Virginia Tech, and we continue our ramp up to the 2025 season. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. And the theme for today, because we've been breaking down about every angle of South Carolina's camp going into the season as humanly possible. But today's about you, the consumer, the viewer. Because college football has changed a ton, just even over the last 10 years, let alone the differences between now and 20 years ago. The way that we consume football, the way we keep up with the sport, the way we interact on Saturdays is a lot different than it used to be. Viewership options have changed. The game day experience has changed. And, of course, everything's gotten a whole lot more expensive. Yeah, don't like that part.
But we're free.
We're free. Absolutely. That's the best part.
There's so many ways to reach us now. So, we're super free.
We've never been freer. I don't think we have been freer. It doesn't cost you anything to text the Firehouse Tubs text line at 803-404-6100.
Also, you know where to find us?
Where can you find us?
107.5, 107.5. You know where to find us?
The radio, which is?
You know it. You don't have to search around for it. You don't have to stream it. You can stream it.
You can stream it. And it doesn't cost you anything to do that on YouTube either.
That is correct.
If anything, we're the freest thing in college sports. Mm-hmm. Because now the workforce and the players aren't free anymore. They were for a long time, but some of them were not. But we're not going to discuss that because I don't know if the statute of limitations has passed yet. So we're going to keep that to ourselves as a secret amongst friends. Mm-hmm. But today is about the viewership of college football. And I don't know where there's a funnier place to start than every time Preston sends me a clip from one of his playing days, and it looks like somebody recorded the footage off of a TV with a Motorola Razr, and it's never not funny every time.
It's humbling. It is one of the most humbling things that I've recently stumbled into is just pulling up clips or seeing clips from the aughts, the early 2000s, and feeling like, was this filmed in 1950? It might as well be black and white film. Like, it looks like you're watching The Galloping Ghost from Notre Dame or something like that. It is the most humbling experience because it's like
so grainy.
And it's like, was it that bad? And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't remember it being
There's
that
something
bad.
in resolution that's happening and conversion. I don't know. But when you see some of those old JP highlights, see some of those old clips, and it's like, man, this is old.
Well, when you sent me, this was when we were doing the backup quarterback discussion, which a couple weeks ago is when we did that. And you sent a clip in our text exchange that we usually turn those clips, into sounds that we play later in the show. And it was the Eric Kimry fade. Mm-hmm. And I was like, is this a football game in 2001 or is this the Zapruder film?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to decipher. Yeah. It gets a little harder each time.
Yeah.
But the way we watch football, significantly different now than it was even back then. Look, ESPN's got a new direct-to-consumer model, which is now for streaming everything. You don't need like a DirecTV or a cable provider or anything like that to be able to stream ESPN now, whereas you had to in the entirety of ESPN.com's existence or the existence of their app. Now they have a straight direct-to-consumer product that does not require something like a satellite or cable subscription. UFC is ending a pay-per-view model, which was in combat sports the way that everybody watched that. And we potentially have a college football red zone, which we'll get to later on in this hour. But it kind of sparked me to ask kind of this big overarching question of what is the optimal way to watch a college football Saturday?
Yeah, this whole conversation was sort of brought on by the most recent developments in the UFC, right? Because that was a huge deal that was set with Dana White and that crew with Paramount. I think I wrote the number down, $7.7 billion.
With a B.
$7.7 billion.
It's a lot of money.
For that property to go to Paramount. And here's the catch. Now, if you are a UFC fan, If you're a UFC fan, you are presumably able to watch all of the events on Paramount now. Catch is, you got to get Paramount now.
Got to get Paramount.
Right?
So Paramount Plus subscriptions.
So if you didn't have Paramount and you were a UFC fan, you're kind of in a tough spot right here. Now, so instead of buying one pay-per-view event that you might like or that you might be interested in, now, presumably, the value proposition is, hey, you can get all of them. However, by getting all of them, you just have to pay every single month for Paramount. Do you want Paramount? Maybe you might like Landman, or you might like one of those other Kevin Costner shows that are on there. It's like 10 of them. What's my guys?
Yellowstone?
Yeah, it might be Yellowstone or whatever. You might love those shows, and that's great. But you might not. But guess what? You're going to pay for it anyway.
I'm sure you'll have every single episode of NCIS or CSI Miami or whatever crime show that CBS has put out over the last 30 years.
But here was the catch. They sold it as you will now be able to see these pay-per-views on Paramount. They're not pay-per-views. You'll be able to see these events on Paramount. However, Dana White said, we still have the option to have pay-per-view events on top of that. So you could either have these regular events that you have on Paramount, but now we can have premium events still on pay-per-view.
Feels like a scam.
And we don't know what is going to be on pay-per-view and what isn't. So it's like you almost feel like you need their hope is you're going to subscribe just in case. But then it'll be interesting to see how many end up on Paramount and how many end up on pay-per-view.
There you go. So there will be, I would imagine there will be some that'll be on Paramount, but probably the bigger or more highly anticipated or whatever those types of events would be will probably still be on pay-per-view, and you will have to. They give you more options, they say. So that's where this whole idea for the show started, because there's a new thing that is happening in our viewing experiences of TV sports. Mm-hmm. And it's affecting college football, definitely affecting the NFL, NBA, baseball. Everybody's been affected by this, and this is a really interesting conversation I think we need to have.
I think I'm picturing the Paramount version of those fight events or whatever. That's going to be the old JP quality. And then the pay-per-view, you'll get the HD.
Now you're cooking. There you go.
Is Dave Neal going to be on the broadcast for some of those other UFC fights that just come with
I would
Paramount
imagine there
Plus?
might be a different level of fighter or quality to the events that are on Paramount, widely available, and the ones that are also on pay-per-view. So it's a lot of different things, because the same thing is happening. And I will maybe we can get Tyler to come in, because the same things happen with wrestling going to ESPN, but they're still going to have pay-per-view events also. And it's not long, or we are here where our beloved college. We had a long conversation yesterday about naming rights, field sponsorships. Well, this is all part of the conversation, because TV compensation is everything that we've been talking about, whether it's conference realignment, revenue, house settlement, all that stuff is based around the concept of TV compensation.
Yeah, and there's a constant bidding war. I mean, the recent contracts that the SEC signed with ABC and the Big Ten signed with Fox and Peacock, loads of money. Like these TV contracts have the payout that these schools are getting about doubled in the last, within the last two contracts, right? I mean, I think it was the late 2010s when the payout for the SEC's television rights were about $35 million per school. And that number has gone up. And I want to say it's closer to 70 now. It might not be at 70 right now, but I know it's closer to 70, which means it is almost doubled. And the way that just TV is changing is going to dramatically impact how we end up viewing college sports. Like, it's different right now. We're going to have this discussion today on August 13th, 2025. On August 13th, 2030, there's no telling what it is we're going to be talking about. I just hope we don't get to the point where we're talking about pay-per-view college football games, because I don't know if I can get on board with that, and I will find a way to steal it.
That's the other.
I will find a way to pirate it. I will. You can call me Jack Sparrow the way I'll be pirating these football games.
That's another. That's another aspect of.
You will not get me to pay individually for these. Absolutely not. No. You're going to have to pry that out of my hands.
So as part of the larger conversation of our viewing habits, our consumption habits, we've talked about the bundling. We've talked about all these types of things, and it's coming. It is here in the sports world. So we're gonna have this conversation. I'm gonna try not to veer into get off my lawn territory or shaking my fist at the cloud. I'm gonna try. I imagine it will happen on occasion because some of this is absolutely ridiculous. But this is where we are, and this is the conversation that we're having.
It is, and I'm curious too. What is your college football game day viewership? And I don't think attendance will ever go down at games just because of how cultural a thing college football is, especially in the South. I know in G5 programs, now G6 programs, attendance is kind of always the toughest thing. That's why I applaud Chance Miller for what he's done at Coastal Carolina, is the way that they're going to start getting people to go to games and create an environment. And by doing so, they are making concessions free for football games. That's pretty cool. That's a great way to get people into the stands. But as somebody who covered a group of group of 5 football program where nobody went to the games at Middle Tennessee State, I'm telling you, nobody went to the games. If anybody wanted to watch them, they usually watch them on TV because you could even get those games on TV, right? Especially with ESPN Plus, everything like that. You can get those games on TV, and a lot of people that lived in that town may support the program, and the alums may support it, but they weren't going to games because it was still an expensive game day experience. For a Conference USA championship game, a conference championship game, which, mind you, that school has never won a conference title since joining the FBS. I still have a picture on my phone, which was 5 minutes before kickoff. I mean, the players are about to do the coin toss. They're lined up on the field. Place is 20% full. And I remember then thinking, like, what's going on? Like, you have your team and a chance to win a conference title, do something the school's never done before. This place is a ghost town. But the ratings for the game weren't bad. Like, that was the thing. Like, it was a still well-televised game. I think the viewership experience has even shifted more towards making this a TV or made-for-TV product than it already has, which is something on a larger scale when we get to, the power conference schools, I've always been more curious about. So that's one of the things that we're getting into today. How do we all consume this sport? Where is the future of college football viewership heading? And more importantly, where do we want it to go? I mean, we are the ones, after all, who are consuming the sport, who are investing our hard-earned money into being able to watch these things and to paying for things like ESPN's direct-to-consumer product. We're the ones who are watching this. We are the ones who are driving the business of it. Where do we want it to go? But as ticket prices go up, viewership options expand. We've never had more options to watch things on a game day. Do more people enjoy watching from TV than they do actually attending a game? And how is that going to change over the course of time? We'll discuss that next here in the early game.
Things looking pretty good this morning for your early commute. Don't have any reports of any accidents. We welcome that for sure. No rain this morning. That's kind of a nifty thing. Isolated afternoon thunderstorms are a possibility today. 92 for the high. Some scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. 90. And on Friday, we're looking for afternoon or evening thunderstorms. 92 for the high. Humidity certainly is out there, very muggy, kind of like a wet sponge this morning. 77 on 107.5 The Game.
Starting this Monday, speaking of viewership and listenership habits, starting Monday, August 18th, the game expands into Charleston, WIWF. So as part of your listening habits, if you are in the Charleston area, you can just listen to us on 96.9 HD3. You don't have to use the app. But you can still use the app if you want to. If you just like
find us on the app. You can find us terrestrial. We are there and in places where you can find us, unlike maybe some of these streaming conversations that we'll be having. You know exactly where we are.
Yeah, see, I've had to explain to my dad before how to watch certain games on his new smart TV. Oh, buddy, it feels like we're speaking different languages. And I love that man. Is one of my favorite people on planet Earth, but sometimes I want to strangle the phone I'm holding, trying to get him to be able to find a football game on his new smart TV. And it's like, I almost wish you just kept the bunny ears, man. But you'll be able to hear us, the game, in Columbia, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, and Florence. And, of course, on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming at the Game TV radio.
How much does that cost?
On YouTube. Absolutely nothing.
Just kind of keeping a theme going here, because I know we'll be talking about prices of things later anyway. So just heads up.
That's going to be a common theme, a common refrain here on the show, is that you're going to have to pay for a lot of this, a lot of these straight to consumer products, or you're paying to watch the games, you're paying to go to the games, but you don't have to pay to listen to us. And that's the best part. Don't have to pay to listen to Todd Ellis bringing you the play-by-play action on Saturdays either, which you can also hear at the fine Gamecock Network. Wherever you are in the state. We'll get to David right now, the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. David, good morning. Thanks for getting up and hanging out in the early game.
Good morning. Hope y'all are doing well. You know, other than a handful of seasons, the several $1,000s that fans shell out each year, they really hadn't gotten a good return on investment. And then when you stack that with rising ticket prices, the ridiculous prices of parking and concessions now, it's much more easier to watch in the comfort of your home, watching 4 games at one time on YouTube TV and having the grill 20 feet away from you and able to pause it. And it looks as if the future is only going to get worse because more fans are going to lose their seats due to the luxury boxes and the business suites that they inevitably are going to be building. Appreciate what you do, and thank y'all.
David, real quick before you hang up, are you a YouTube TV quad boxer? Do you like to utilize that on YouTube TV?
Yeah.
I will say that's the coolest thing YouTube TV does, is you can get 4 games at once up there.
Kinda. I have a beef, but we can continue. We can continue.
Okay, we can continue. David, thank you for your call on those. Those are really good points. Absolutely appreciate that, because I definitely get the appeal of having the proximity of your grill and not having to pay for a parking spot and all that. I completely get it. I completely get it. And really, college football now, more so than ever, gives you as many options to where the at-home viewership experience is better than it's ever been. And that's why these companies pay so much money to have these games on their networks, is because, look, whether you may hate the broadcasters or the jingle of, the broadcast, whatever it is, you're still watching because it is the same sport. but they know how to make it feel like a big time thing. That's the thing about CBS I thought was really good. The SEC on CBS was always so good because they made it such a big deal every Saturday, and you feel like you didn't have to leave the comfort of your own home to be able to get that experience. So there's definitely, if you don't make it to games, there's a great viewership experience that you have at your own home. And if your grill's, not too far away, you got the fridge stocked, and you've prepared beforehand. It's not, if you have YouTube TV, you can quad box or you can do something like that. Not a bad way to spend a Saturday.
Yeah, there's obviously several options. And I think what's happening with the college football business model is that there's two things happening. They got all this money coming in from the TV and then all this hassle coming in from the live experience inside. And what you're going to start to seeing is you're going to start to see them trying to figure, like anybody else would do, is like, oh, where should we place our attention? You're probably going to place more attention on the place that is bringing you more money and less hassle. And you'll start to see sports become a TV product.
Yep.
A product specifically made for TV, not necessarily made for the live experience, though the live experience is still a huge part of all of this stuff that we're having a conversation. So, yeah, it is interesting to hear how people's opinions have evolved talking about their sports viewing experience.
And before we get to Ernest, the co-pilot on the Firehouse Subs text line says the best way to watch college football is to walk around the tailgating spots and find the old man that has 3 TVs set up and stand in the background and watch his TVs for free. That is free. That is. And I can't say as someone who, before games, I go and cover them, just for what I do here. But I do stop by. There, a couple friends of mine have a couple parking spots in the fairgrounds, or at the fairgrounds, and they have, them and their neighbors have like these multiple TV setups. And I will say it is nice to be able to walk by when I'm walking into the stadium and I see a game on that I'm interested in. I will stop and I'll peek for a play or two, and then I'll keep going to where, walking into the stadium. I give myself some peeking time to be able to screen steal from others on my way into the stadium. It is very effective. He makes a really good point there. Back to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Ernest is on the line about viewing experiences. Ernest, good morning. Thanks for getting up and hanging out in the early game.
Hey, Elijah. Thanks for coming over to the early game. It's like when you go up to Carolina Panther Stadium, you can buy a cup for sodas, and if you've ever been up there, it's refillable. At Williams Price, you pay one price, you get one cup. Why am I going to spend a week's pay to go to a football game, if you add it all up, like the guy was saying, parking, tickets to get in, when I can spend $20 like you do for a pack of cigarettes to watch it at home?
That's a fair point, Ernest. That's a really good call. And Ernest, you're making me do something I didn't want to have to do this morning, and that's hand it to the Atlanta Falcons. I'm gonna have to do it.
Rise up.
I'm gonna have to compliment Preston Thorne's new favorite NFL team, because what they've done with their concession prices there, phenomenal. It is cheap. Everything is cheaper in an Atlanta Falcons game. You are getting, you're getting concessions for sometimes, some items less than $5. And I've been in NFL stadiums where it feels like you're having to take out a mortgage just to be able to get a snack in that stadium, right? And it's one of those things too, of like when I was in college, one of my roommates had Tennessee Titans season tickets, and I just go with him. I'm not a Titans fan, but I was like, yeah, it's an NFL game. Yeah, let's go. And we'd say all the time, it's like, if there's any beers you want to drink, do it in the parking lot before we get into the stadium, because unless you want to spend $15 a pop minimum on them, then this is your most cost-efficient way to do it. It's not that way in an Atlanta Falcons game. So they do have that part correct.
Rise up. It's sort of the same conversation that you talk about with the Masters. The idea of being able to buy affordable concessions. Now, we're going to get you somewhere else. Don't think we're not going to get you. We're going to hit them pockets, but at least you're going to make you feel good about the money that you're spending. We're going to get those pockets some sort of way.
We're going to get them.
We're going to get you.
They'll get it in volume. That's the thing. They get it in volume.
We're going to get you one way or another, and that's sort of the same concept behind the Falcons. Same thing with Chance Miller's doing at Coastal. He did it a couple times when he was here as the deputy AD. He did it for basketball games and things of that nature. Yes, this is the conversation and negotiation that most people are having. How do I reconcile my budget with what I want to, with my off time? Do I want to spend all my money, as Ernest said, on this particular experience? Do I need to use that for something else? I still want to have that experience. And so this is the conversations that a lot of folks are having. And as I said, for college sports, this is the first time that they're having to reconcile the budget because, oh, yeah, they have an added expense now that they never had to account for. They had this whole thing that they just were getting on the hookup. They just had the infinite hookup. It's like
never prepared to have to do.
Not saying it was me, but there was a time when people used to have hookups on cable. And then all of a sudden you're like, I got to pay for this? This is how much cable costs? The box not working or the cable that you were sharing with your neighbors not working anymore. That's kind of what college football, college athletics is going through right now. They're having to pay an extra expense that they never had before. So they're figuring out, and that's what everybody's trying to reconcile that. But the experience is a little bit different. Is different when you're viewing from TV and when you're at the games.
More of your calls and texts next.
I know better than to brag about the fact that there's no accidents, because when I do, something pops up. So I apologize for that. Nazareth Road near Longs Pond Road, we do have an accident reported there. Aside from that, things do look pretty good. We welcome that. Isolated afternoon or evening thunderstorms. 92 is the high we're looking for today. Scattered thunderstorms tomorrow, high of 90. 92 on Friday. Again, kind of that pattern of afternoon or evening thunderstorms. 77, just kind of muggy out there right now. It's 107.5 The Game. We appreciate you listening.
Did you hear this sound for the college football season? Can you hear the crisp tones of Chris Hansen? Or Scott Hansen. Did I say Chris Hansen? Yeah.
Whole different show.
Different show. Completely different show. Do not want to be hearing Chris Hansen asking you to take a seat. Absolutely not. And as far as I know, there's no relation between the two men. I could also be wrong.
I might sign up for a red zone of that show. Just consistent back to back to back. I'd sign up for that red zone because that'd be it's terrible societal wise, but man, that's great TV.
It did make for really good TV. It did. Sometimes, like when I was in college, like me and my friends would just put on like Chris Hansen's greatest hits on YouTube.
Goes hard.
There were some bars, man. That guy, that is big J journalism right there. Oh man! But for anybody who is interested in still attending a Columbia Fireflies game, because you don't have many of these left. Admittedly, we have, I think there's maybe like a month and some change left in the season. We are going to give away, throughout the show, 2 family 4-packs, but right now we'll give away 1 family 4-pack. That is for tonight's game, 7:05, first pitch, Columbia Fireflies versus Myrtle Beach Pelicans. And if you can just be the first caller at 803-404-6100 on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines.
I can count that high. I really can.
It takes me a while, but I can do it. It can be done. And if you hear the tones of Jen Jensen's voice, you're a winner. Now, again, that's a family 4-pack.
Anybody in my family does not feel the same. If they hear my voice, they don't feel like
they
winners.
don't get as excited.
No, not even a little bit.
As excited. But if you hear Jen's voice on that phone, you are a winner. Congratulations. But the Chris Hansen thing, that's gonna kill me all day. But the Scott Hansen on Red Zone. Maybe the most revolutionary viewing experience on a football game day. I love Red Zone. And if I have nothing to do on a Sunday and I am just able to sit in front of a TV and watch football all day, there is no better way to do it than have the TV decide for me which games are worth watching at once. Because sometimes I'll be cool with giving up, especially if my favorite team's not playing. Now, because I've never lived in a media market that has my favorite team locally, I can live with seeing everybody play at once. And if my favorite team comes up there, fine. If they don't, fine. I get it. But I do like them picking it for me. But I will say, if there was a college football red zone, I think the one thing that would keep me, if I was a college football fan, from consuming it to its extent the same way I would in the NFL is if my favorite team is playing and I have the option to watch my favorite team play by itself, I'm going to watch my favorite team play.
Right, because the fundamental difference of how you watch NFL football versus how you watch college football, they're different experiences.
Completely.
In the NFL, a team enters into the red zone, there's a very high chance that they're going to kick a field goal, they're going to score. It's going to be pretty systemic. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That is not college football at all. college football, the reason why many of us, and I speak for myself personally, the reason why we love it because there is a random aspect to it. You could enter the red zone. You could be on the 15-yard line, and then they might switch to another game, and then you go back to that game, and the team's on the 45-yard line because they had a pass interference, a holding, and a fumble snap. And then they go punt. The punt gets blocked. Things can happen.
Or the other team could score. I've seen college quarterbacks give pick sixes on that side of the field all the time.
There's a college kicker situation that is always imminent, always humming around.
Horrifically real.
To me, I don't know if a college red zone experience really, really works. Because to me, the optimal college experience, and we talked about this yesterday, I'm watching my game. My brother's watching his game. My homeboy is watching his game. And we're all texting each other, and it's like, hey, man, Utah, Colorado State, you watching this? No? Okay, I turned to that one. Let me see what's going on there. Or somebody sends a text. Did you just see? No, I didn't. I got to turn here, right? So that's how it sort of works. Or following along on Twitter, you might see Booger. He put the DEFCON signal up, like, hey, DEFCON 3 out in Death Valley. Ooh, let me go see what's happening over there.
You have caught my attention.
So to me, that is the way that way I experience college football. I'm not sure if a red zone experience would quite feel the same for college.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And because here's the thing too, with the NFL red zone, you're getting the entire National Football League. Mm-hmm. Every game that is going on in the National Football League, you will be having access to by watching red zone. There's one big caveat with college sports, and that is the different networks holding different contracts with different leagues. So you can have a red zone on ESPN, but that means you're not getting the Big Ten, and that means you're not getting certain games that are going to be on Peacock. And let's just use week 1 as an example, because Ohio State, Texas, number 1 versus number 3 showdown to start the year, big noon Saturday on Fox. If I'm watching Red Zone, a college football Red Zone to start the season, that's the game I really want to watch. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I'm not kidding when I say this. I am a sicko for the sport. I am mildly intrigued by Mississippi State and Southern Miss. But, buddy, I'd much rather keep tabs on Ohio State and Texas, and I still have to second screen if I want to keep up with that game. They might show like a highlight, but they can't take you live the same way Red Zone takes you live to watch a few of these things as they unfold. That's a big hurdle.
Also, when Roger Goodell was sort of dangling that carrot out there, obviously with the NFL having ties to the ESPN having direct ties to the SEC, you would imagine it'd be more SEC focused if that was a thing to happen, right?
Yes.
It'd be like SEC Red Zone, which again, I'm an SEC homer. That's where I want to see, but who knows if, Colorado and Kansas State are having a shootout out there or something like that, and this 52-47 and it's the last that I gotta
watch that.
I gotta turn to that.
I gotta see it.
So that's sort of the nature of how college football, for me, my viewing experience when it works. It's a communal thing. You watch all the games. You watch your team, but then you're sort of watching the other games in the periphery throughout the day, whether it's through a quad box, multi-screen, or if you're old-fashioned like me, just straight up flipping channels. That's the way I experience college football.
And I think just for what I do for a living now, I can't multi-screen it as much because, like when I watch South Carolina play, I'm usually go to the games just because it helps me do my job better. That's me. That's a personal preference because then I get to focus on it. I'll have my iPad in the press box. It's got another game going, but the only time I ever get to look at it is if it's halftime or there's a stoppage in play and I get to glance over, but I don't get to keep my full attention to it. And when I'm watching a game at home for college football, just because I cover that sport, for a living, I find it to where now I have to focus on one game at once, especially if it's a couple teams that are like in the SEC. I have to have it just one game at once. And then if it's teams that are in other conferences, then maybe I can pull the iPad out or a laptop out and multi-screen it. But I can't. My attention is hard enough to wrangle in as is.
Yeah, I'm not a multi-screener at all. I watch one game at a time. If there's something that I need to change to, I will. if something's happening somewhere, or if I have like the guide in front of me, I'll change to that one. But I can usually only watch one game at a time, because when I'm in the quad box, it's like, what am I watching? I don't know what's happening. You know, the quad box, which game am I watching? Which game should I put the sound on? Which game should, like all of these different conversations that have to happen. This one's on commercial, this one. So I'm usually a one screen watcher.
I'm with you. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I might have two screens, or I have like one in the family room, one in the kitchen, so that I'll go back and forth just to divide myself a little bit. Because even having two like this is a little more for me. So like I'm almost pivoting, and
so you might have like one screen in one room and one in another room. That's a good one.
But they're open and connected, so I can. It's not like I have to walk into another room. I can kind of sit in the middle. But yeah, I'm with you. I can't do that, and I guess we need to take a break.
That's right. We'll talk about who does this the best in the broadcasting world next on the early game. nothing makes me more nostalgic than hearing this. It's a Saturday in the fall whenever you heard this in the southeast United States.
Warm and fuzzies.
Oh, man. Makes me, I want to run through that glass door right there. I'm going to do it. If I didn't have to do the rest of the segment, I'd be running through it.
You mean you're super excited about Big Ten football on CBS?
I've never been more excited to watch Iowa run 3 yards in a cloud of dust for 60 minutes of a football game.
Yeah.
I've never been more excited for this 13-10 game between Illinois and Iowa.
Yeah, never quite caught on. It never quite was a thing. It's like, hey, man, listen. That's the SEC. Come on. What are we doing?
And now, Maryland, Michigan State.
It doesn't quite work.
Be prepared for a lot of field goals and punts. The specialist of special teams.
Doesn't quite work, but that is absolutely a banger. Brings you to a space and time, and I think that's what we're talking about with some of these broadcasts, the TV broadcasts. As we talk about increasing our viewing, our viewership, we all start to have affinities for certain broadcasts.
And that was the best one. To me, like the SEC on CBS and that 3:30 game every week, gold standard of college sports broadcasting. That, and usually CBS, between that and their coverage of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, and ESPN for the women's tournament has done a really good job. But in terms of like atmospheric value, CBS was always the best to me.
Well,
right?
because you had Vern, who brought the folksiness, then you had Brad Nessler, who was very professional down the line, and you kind of had a great mix in the booth where they understood the culture, they understood the games, they understood everything around it, and they spoke as if they were speaking to you and with you.
And the best part, Gary Danielson, who had no SEC affiliation, he was a quarterback at Purdue, made everybody mad. Which is perfect because Gary Danielson, I think, is good at what he does. He is really good at this job. But universally hated by all SEC fan bases and being accused of liking the other team or gushing over the other team when he just does this for everybody. That's what he does. He's very complimentary of these young athletes. But he is the perfect guy for that because he was the punching bag for everybody.
Yeah, it's that's the thing about those games or those broadcasts. So you had the CBS, which I think is the gold standard. Then if you go back, you had got a shout out. Who would have thought maybe a winner for the day? Jefferson Pilot, which was just weird and wacky on its own.
It was, and it got you the weird games of the SEC all the time.
It had its own little wacky, cute quality to it. And so all these different games, you knew what you were in for when they were being on what slot they were in.
When I moved into the last apartment I was living in, I was playing my PlayStation 2 because this was right before the release of what was in the new college football video game. And I would play, I did like a dynasty mode with South Carolina on a PlayStation 2, NCAA 2004, which does feature one Preston Thorne.
There you go.
And when South Carolina, Kentucky played, I was like, oh, this game is so on Jefferson Pilot, it's not even funny. Dave Neal's on the call for this game.
Yes, for sure.
Kentucky football lived on Jefferson Pilot.
Oh, we were there often.
South Carolina
we were there
lived on Jefferson Pilot. Growing up in Tennessee, Vanderbilt lived on Jefferson Pilot. It's like for Tennessee football growing up, if I wanted to watch Vanderbilt, I'm watching JP. Whenever Tennessee plays Vanderbilt, JP. They play Kentucky, JP. South Carolina, JP. But Dave Neal was awesome. And anytime I've ever booked him for a show, and I should have reached out because I don't know how free he is, but he is so good because every time he comes back on, his voice just makes me nostalgic for an 11 o'clock noon kickoff on Jefferson Pilot and having just the weirdest early game slate that you could possibly have because there were some weird games that happened on Jefferson Pilot.
always a wacky game at noon.
The best one, though, now that the SEC is not on CBS anymore, you have to choose one network to produce your games. The one that produces the best college football games right now.
You have a preference?
I think right now it's Fox because I love Gus Johnson. Got a good jingle, a little good score bug, good presentation. I hate that they put their biggest game at noon. I get why they do it, but I would have loved for Texas Ohio State to be at least 3:30. That one at noon is going to feel weird, but if Gus Johnson's on the call, I'm in.
That's their big spot, right?
Yep.
Big noon.
Big noon kickoff. But Gus Johnson is also my favorite play-by-play broadcaster. I would watch fencing on a regular basis if Gus Johnson was calling it. And I joked with you off air. I'd have Gus Johnson play-by-play my funeral one day. That'd be funny. And he's going into the ground. No more Elijah Campbell. Hour number 2's next. We're going to continue our discussion with the AP poll. What does the number 13 mean? We'll tell you coming up.
Preston here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they work directly with the insurance to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to you, take care of the job for you. Now, if you're at home looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows and mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Still just working that earlier tie-up, Nazareth Road near Longs Pond Road. 92, that's going to be the high today. Isolated afternoon storm possible. 90 tomorrow with some scattered thunderstorms. And Friday, hey, guess what? Afternoon or evening thunderstorms, high of 92. And by Saturday, few storms, 89. Actually, Sunday will be sunny with a high of 90. So we welcome that to change things up a little bit. But it is kind of muggy out there currently. The dew point's like 76%. And it is 77 on 107.5 The Game.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. We are 436 hours, 10 minutes, and 10 seconds until toe meets leather in Atlanta for South Carolina, Virginia Tech. And there's no better indicator of the college football season being among us than the preseason AP Top 25 poll. And it's more fun to talk about it now this year than ever before since I've been here, which has been since 2023. So small sample size, get it. But for the first time in 11 years, South Carolina ranked in the AP Top 25 poll, specifically top
13.
Top 13.
Top 13.
They are in the top 13.
Yeah, this is one of those conversations where I would just, for the last 11 years, I've been, oh yeah, preseason pools, they don't mean anything.
Means nothing.
Why should we pay attention to preseason polls? This year,
Yeah, because we're lucky 13.
it means something.
Because that party is totally irrelevant to me when I didn't get the invitation. Because you know what?
Exactly.
I didn't want your invitation.
That's right.
I didn't want to go to
I
the
don't want to
party.
be in there with all those fancy hors d'oeuvres that you have and all those fancy drinks and all the cool parties and all everybody dressed. I want to stay out here.
Yeah, I'm fine out here. I don't want to put on a suit.
Yeah, get all fancy
I don't
for
wanna
your little
get
party. I
fancy.
don't want to do that.
I don't want to have to get out of bed and shower and be
Yeah.
presentable
Yeah.
and go to that fancy party. I
Yeah.
want to meet, big movers and shakers in the industry. Absolutely not. I'm cool right where I am. But the minute you get that invitation, it's like, you know what? I think I can walk amongst kings now.
Escargot? What is this?
Escargot, this is fantastic. I will say, the first time I ever had escargot, I was disgusted looking at it, and my mom's like, you just got to try it. It's really good. I think you'll like it. Buddy, it's so good.
It's like, what is
So
this?
good. I love
Tastes
it.
like chicken?
If the chicken was a little slimier and coated with more butter.
The slimy part would get me. I don't think I could do it.
There is a texture barrier to some. If you don't like the texture of mushrooms, I would not recommend escargot.
Okay,
But
that's good advice.
I love mushrooms.
Okay.
Pizza, anything. That's
Yep.
one of my favorite toppings for anything.
Mushrooms,
Salad.
very, very difficult to cook well. Like,
Oh, I do it so frequently.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've got a lot of practice.
I'm gonna have to. We'll get off air and talk about that because I can't never quite. Trying to get like a mushroom ragu type thing. going. I
Ooh,
can't.
okay. Now you're getting into the fancy stuff.
Yeah, I
You're
can't quite
getting
get it.
into the advanced
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah, it's top 15, man.
Yeah. See, I'm more the way I cook mushrooms more top 20. Like I haven't cracked 15, right? I'm kind of on the outside looking in when it comes to like playoff contention, but practice enough to get my program, my mushroom cooking program, to where we're at least nationally recognized as being pretty good.
We'll take that. We'll keep monitoring that.
Yeah, we'll keep monitoring. Maybe break the top 10, like South Carolina. They go 5-0 to start the season, which you think they can. Maybe they can crack the top 10 as well. But Jen hit on something that she didn't know. She said lucky number 13, because I thought about that yesterday. I said, how lucky is the number 13 when it comes to being preseason ranked number 13? And I like to use history as my guide here. So I went back and looked at every preseason number 13 since the advent of the college football playoff.
Oh my god.
And we're going to take a look at how these teams did
I mean,
after I get bullied first.
seriously. Well, I mean, we're not going to bully you at all.
Go outside, nerd. Get out. Go.
Now, yesterday would have been a good day I could go outside because it wasn't raining for the first time in like 11 days. So I could have. That is very applicable. I had no excuse to not go outside, but I didn't anyway. You know why? Because I wanted to do this. Let's crank that one a little bit. Let's crank that a little bit. 2024, the number 13 team in America, LSU. To start the season, they finished the season unranked.
Oh boy.
They did go 9-4. 2023, Notre Dame finished the season 14th
Okay.
at 10-3.
Okay.
Didn't finish higher, but they were a little lower. 2022, NC State finished the season unranked at 8-5.
Oh boy.
2021, Florida finished the season unranked
Oh, boy.
at 6-7. 2020, Texas A&M finished the season 4th
Okay.
at 9-1.
Okay.
2019.
Wait, that was COVID though.
That was COVID. You can put an asterisk there because there were conference-only schedules,
Okay.
and things did get a little weird.
Continue.
2019, Washington finished the season unranked
Oh boy.
at 8-5. In 2018, Stanford finished the season unranked,
Oh boy.
9-4. 2017, LSU once again finished the season 18th at 9-4. So they finished ranked. 2016, TCU finished the season unranked, 6-7. 2015, UCLA finished the season once again unranked at 8-5. 2014, LSU finished the season unranked at 8-5. So in the last 11 years, teams that were preseason number 13 finished ranked 3 times, one of them being in the COVID year. And the only year that they finished higher than 13th was once, and that is the aforementioned 2020 Texas A&M Aggies in the COVID year where they went 9-1. Twice in those 11 years did teams have a losing record that were 13th overall. However, this may sound bad, and you're like, Elijah, I heard a lot of unranks there. 0 college football playoff appearances, but 9 of 11 times in the college football playoff era did the team that was preseason number 13 win at least 8 games.
That's exactly what I was hearing when you was giving that information. I was hearing, at first I was like, oh, that's not good. They finished unranked. But then you started feeling with unranked 9-4, unranked 8-5, unranked blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, well, what were the ranked teams ranked those years, first off? But also, those weren't bad seasons.
Only 2, what I would consider bad seasons.
Who were the 2?
So that was 2016 TCU and 2021 Florida. And they both finished 6-7. But it is almost a guaranteed 8-win season. In 23, Notre Dame did win 10 games and finished 14th. So there is a pathway. And depending, if you get to the college football playoff, depending how you finish, might change what that, or how you lose might change how you're ranked at the end of the year in the final poll.
Well, we have a little bit of the Beamer Ball thing going on, where we have some trickery and stuff. So I'm thinking that we will Beamer Ball our way to not follow the statistics.
Yes.
Just saying.
Or because, if this says you're essentially guaranteed 8 wins, if we're just using history as our guide, not using anything about what we know about the football team, that's all complete background information. We're just using historical precedent here. If I told you at the beginning of the year, would you take 8 wins? You'd probably be a little disappointed that you didn't make the college football playoff. But I think 8 wins is also a fair expectation for a lot of people. I saw a tweet yesterday, and I didn't want to respond to this person because I wanted to save this for the show, where they were like, well, South Carolina's preseason top 13, but their over-under in Vegas is only 7.5. Like, why is there so much disrespect for the Gamecocks? Really, it's not disrespect. It follows historical precedent pretty closely. Really, that should, if you just want to use this as your guide, you could bet over, and more than likely that will hit because 9 out of 11 times in which a team that has been ranked this high at this specific spot did win at least 8 games.
So the question that we all have to answer as fans is we have to figure out, is that enough? And we have to figure out as fans, is that enough? Is 8 enough? And what they have to figure out, a program, is 8 further. Because that's what they're trying to figure out,
that's what the program is.
That's what the program's right. The program's trying to figure out is 8 further.
Which it would not be.
This is me. Again, I'm trying to get out of the defeatist mindset and I'm trying to shake off the generational trauma and get off the Gamecock PTSD.
It's a new day.
It's a new day. That being said, historically, we fell on our faces a couple of times when we've been in this situation. 8, to me, would keep the ball rolling. That would keep momentum up. May not be what we ultimately wanted, but I think that would keep the ball moving. As long as we don't fall into this 2016 TCU territory or 2021 Florida, which I don't think, remember we talked about that 2021 Florida team, Dan Mullen, everything was falling apart. They were wobbling on the ropes. We knocked them out.
We were coach killers that year.
Coach killers that year. So as long as we don't, there's only 1 year out of all these years that you listed when it can go terribly wrong, and that was 2016 TCU. I don't foresee that happening with this squad.
Yeah, I don't either. And that, when I looked at all the unranked finishes, I was like, ooh, troubling trend. But then winning at least 8 games, because here's the thing, even at, say, 9-4, you can go 9-4 and be 9-3 in the regular season. You were 9-4 last year, right? And if we look at the teams that went 9-4, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4 different 9-win seasons on here too. There's precedent of winning 9 games. Like, that is very possible. And 9-3 could get you in the college football playoff this year. It didn't last year because of who those 3 were. And considering 2 of those 3 were against teams that were ahead of you in the previous week's college football playoff poll or ranking. And those other 2 teams, those aforementioned teams, did win that weekend. So they were not going to be, in theory, not going to be punished by winning those games and rivalry week. 9-3 could get you in the playoff this year, because I don't know if we can use a 1-year sample size to definitively say what record gets you in and what record does not. I know we know some of the records that will get you in if you're in a power conference, but I can't really with any type of certainty tell you that 9-3 would not get you in, because there's just so many other factors at play. I know the college football playoff is what would take this program farther, which is what the entire mantra is over at the facility in these last couple weeks, or the entire offseason, really. But it wouldn't be a failure, right? To use a different type of F word. Failure, I think, would be regressing. Failure would be not making a bowl game. Failure, I think, even 7-5, they would feel like that would be something along the lines of failure, because that's not what they're shooting for. But if you do want to continue the momentum you have as a program by almost getting past that 50% threshold in blue chip ratio, which still is a accumulation of your past 4 recruiting classes, that tells you that the roster and the talent coming in is still good enough to get you to where you can compete and knock on that door of being in that big fancy party that we keep alluding to.
So when you looked at all this information, your gut instinct made you feel good about the historical precedent, or it made you feel nervous about the historical precedent?
I think it made me feel on the better side. If we're putting it on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 6.5. Because if you tell me that this team was going to go 8-4 in the regular season, I would say, okay, sounds right. That's not too far-fetched considering who you have to play late in the year. But you would be missing the college football playoff at 8-4. I feel good about that being the case, which would be wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I know that their goals in that building are different, but I know how good the SEC is, and that type of stuff just happens, right? But you can still have a special season at 8-4, and I know that for a lot of people, 8-4 with a couple of really big wins, and if you go and you win a bowl game at the end and you're able to kind of elevate your program a little bit and continue to stay in that conversation, because like what I don't want for this program is to have a 2023 where you have all this momentum after 22, you have those 2 big wins, you give Notre Dame everything you have, and you have expectations going into the next year, and it is an injury fiasco from the get-go. You're off on the wrong foot, and the season feels like a wash 8 weeks in when you're 2-6, right? And you have to go on a 4-game winning streak just to make it to a bowl. It felt like the program did take a step back. And I know all progress isn't linear, but you would like for it to stay to where you can be counted upon to at least win 8 games every year.
It'd be the idea of like not losing ground is gaining ground.
Yes, I do feel that way.
So like, when sprinters were running, they say it's not the person who accelerates the fastest, the person who decelerates the slowest, right? So if you were to win those 8 games, even though you wouldn't necessarily be going further, as is the mantra, but you'd be standing pat, still being able to advance your agenda, still being able to do some of those same things. What I'm interested in is how fun is that going to be for us as fans? Are we going to be watching these games like, it's not, because last year was so much fun, but I think it was so much fun because it was unexpected.
Yeah, because you went on a tear at the end of the year. You were the hottest team in college football for 6
And
weeks.
if we had the same record this year, my fear is that it's not going to be as fun.
I have a feeling that hypothesis would be correct.
That's not fun. That's not cool.
But I talked about the history being number 13. There is a scarier precedent of being in the top 10 because almost every year there's a couple teams in the top 10 that finish the season unranked, and we're going to pick who we think those teams will be next here in the early game.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. We redid our kitchen, had a great experience with CHW Cabinetry. They're locally owned. They're in Lexington, so you always were able to access them, go into their location, and discuss things. Got everything picked out, got the photorealistic rendering of our finished kitchen. That helped us with the other elements, and we had a great result in the end with the finished product. So happy we ended up doing some replacement cabinets in a couple of bathrooms in the house. But again, like I've mentioned before, you don't have to do a complete remodel in a kitchen or in a bathroom just to have a little bit of guidance and to really utilize the services of CHW Cabinetry. You can update some things in a closet, get rid of those wire hanging racks, as I've mentioned, get some drawers in your pantry. Maybe you got a home office you want to put together. Just go to chwcabinetry.com to learn more or call them at 803-520-6837. Tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation. Nazareth Road near Longs Pond Road continues to be an issue there getting cleaned up, so it might slow you down if you're going through that area. 92 with some isolated afternoon storms today. That's what we're looking for as far as your forecast goes. Scattered thunderstorms tomorrow, 90 for the high. Back to some afternoon thunderstorms on Friday, a high of 92. Looks like we'll get out of the rain pattern on Sunday potentially. Keep our fingers crossed. Mostly sunny and 90 on Sunday. But right now, it's 77 on the early game.
All right. I told you about the number 13 in the AP poll. There's a more troubling trend with some teams that are in the top 10 because almost every single year you get at least one team in the preseason top 10 that finishes the season unranked. And today we're going to try to pick the imposters out of the group.
Okay, I like this.
So I'll run through it. And I went back just to the college football playoff era and used modern college football history as our guide here. And so it's 11 years. In those years, only one season has the preseason top 10 been completely ranked by the end of the year. Only one, that was 2019. But in the college football playoff era, 20 teams overall in those 11 years were preseason top 10 and did not finish the season ranked. In 4 of those years, 3 teams were preseason top 10 and finished unranked. In 2 of those seasons, 2 teams finished the season unranked. And then, of course, in 10 of 11, at least 1. So in the teams with 3 years, or the years with 3 teams, 2022, A&M, Oklahoma, Baylor. 2021, A&M, Iowa State, North Carolina. I'm sensing a trend with Texas A&M here.
Not a good trend.
2020, LSU, Penn State, and Oregon. And 2018, Wisconsin, Miami, Auburn. And unfortunately, South Carolina is one of the years in which there were 2 teams that were preseason top 10 that finished unranked. That was the last time they were appearing in the preseason top 10.
That was that 2014 year.
Yep.
Okay.
Them and Oklahoma finished the season unranked.
All right, give me. Let's just go back to last year. Who was the team or teams from last year?
So there were 2 teams last year. Florida State,
Yep.
LOL,
Run the ball.
2-10. They did not run the ball. They did not stop the run. They did not pass the ball. They did not stop the pass.
Think about how the narrative behind that game. I think 2 things were true.
Mm-hmm.
It was a huge win for Georgia Tech at the time. In retrospect, Florida State was falling apart. We get that. We don't know whether that triggered it or whether that was who they actually were. We don't know what that. But also we found out by the end of the year that Georgia Tech was pretty good. So it was 2 sort of forces colliding in that first game. All right, so that's Florida State. Who's the next one?
Michigan.
Okay.
But they did finish the season strong by beating the life out of Alabama.
Again,
bowl game.
if you go to ask Michigan, would you rather finish the season unranked, even though you were in the top 10, and or would you rather have beaten Ohio State and Alabama in your last 2 games? Is that a successful season? I think they might argue yes.
I think so. Yeah. They would say it wasn't a total failure.
There you go.
Maybe not a success, but not a total failure. So given that trend, we here at the early game will have to try to find the imposter who is in the top 10 right now. And I'll reel off the teams that are in the top 10, knowing that at least one of these teams, historically, will not be ranked by the end of the year. Texas is 1, Penn State 2, Ohio State 3, Clemson 4, Georgia 5, Notre Dame 6, Oregon 7, Alabama, number 8, LSU 9, Miami at 10. So one of these teams, statistically speaking, there's only one outlier, and that was in 2019, will finish the season not appearing in the top 25.
My first inclination is to say Alabama.
Ooh, that would be spicy. I can't get myself there.
That's my
but
first
that
inclination.
is spicy.
They did name Ty Simpson as the starter yesterday, I believe, so that did happen.
Yep.
That's my first inclination to say. Obviously, I'm looking at towards the bottom of the teams, Alabama, LSU, Miami. I'm looking at those 3. Do you have one out of those 3, or do you have somebody else?
And I hate doing this because it is the number 10 team, and I feel like that's almost the free space on the bingo card whenever picking these teams out, so it feels like a cop-out. But Miami, I can see absolutely falling apart because of in-game coaching, losing one-score games, a quarterback who was more turnover-prone last year.
There you go.
They lose the turnover battle, they can lose a lot of one-score games, and they can be a victim of the bad luck they create.
So if you go back to my metric of coaching and quarterbacks, I'm not big on either one of them. Cristobal's a great recruiter, rah-rah guy, tough dude, all that good stuff. In game, he a lot left to be desired.
falling on his face a lot.
Carson Beck, same thing. I think this is the end of the road for Carson Beck.
I think it is too.
So,
and who knows how good the arm is right now.
That's another part coming off of that injury.
Basically having to have Tommy John surgery. I mean, he tore his UCL in that SEC championship game. And for pitchers, that is about a calendar year-long recovery.
And so what you assume is going to happen is he's not going to have some of the zip that he might have had. He'll probably, but in his mind, he'll still have it. He'll probably try and make some throws that he actually cannot make that could lead to some pick sixes, etc. Yeah, that'd be a fine one. So you say Miami. Okay, if you had to take a flyer on anybody else. All right, let's say, okay, yes, Elijah, cool, number 10. That was a coward pick. Give me a spicy one.
I'm going to hold my feet to the fire here. I want to say LSU. It's just one spot above. However, I like what their roster is, but Brian Kelly, in terms of what he has done at LSU, left a lot to be desired. Tough schedule. They got to start at Clemson to start the year. The Florida game, if DJ Lagway's healthy, which is maybe one of the biggest ifs in college football right now, is the health of that young man and his availability. There's no guarantee that they win that game. And they have that one at home. If they drop 2 before they play South Carolina, what's their mindset going into the Carolina game? And they got to go at Alabama this year. A&M is a pretty good team. They get A&M at home, but A&M completely whipped them up and down the line of scrimmage when they played last year. And, oh, yeah, A&M basically brings the entire defensive and offensive line unit back this year. That blueprint for A&M beating LSU will be the exact same as it was last season. And if that's 4 losses right there, you're not going to finish ranked.
We said it. We was having a conversation pre-show. Obviously, Saban, the GOAT. But they've won 2 other national championships, LSU, with Les Miles and Orgeron. I have to go Tigers. Go Tigers. 2 objectively worse coaches than Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's a better coach than both of those dudes, and it's probably not going to happen for Brian. And that is why college football is wacky.
And filled with irony.
Because I will stand on that one. He's a better coach than Les Miles and Ed Orgeron. Hands down.
Combined. I think combined.
Yes.
I don't think Les Miles and Ed Orgeron are winning those games at Central Michigan and Cincinnati.
Correct. However, they got 2 natties, and if your prediction may hold true, that'd be a tough spot for them to be in.
Jen, if you have to pick one imposter out of this top 10, who do you have? It's tough. I like a lot of these teams that are in here. There's a lot of teams.
Don't make me think. I'm not sure.
Because I can't go like higher than that. I like Oregon a lot. There's a chance that Oregon can. I don't think Georgia, Notre Dame, a lot of these teams are just like coaches too that I just trust. I don't know if I can get past 9 and 10. Alabama possible. But that defense is
that's kind of where I'm leaning.
Yeah, and it very well could be Alabama, because if they drop a few games, I don't know if their name recognition keeps them from slipping at the final poll if they completely fall apart. Quarterback questions, too?
Just looking at those 2 fan bases, Alabama could get volatile if things happen, but LSU is definitely on edge.
I would agree with that.
But we'll look at the flip side of the AP Top 10 coming up next here on the early game.
We've reported some stop-and-go traffic, I-77 southbound between I-20 and Forest Drive. So between exits 16 and 12, they're on I-77 southbound, some stop-and-go traffic. I-26 eastbound, exit 115, Charleston Highway, the center lane is blocked. So be mindful of that. Also, trying to get things cleaned up in Richland County, Two Notch Road at Oakway Drive. And I-26 westbound, this just came in between Airport Boulevard and Highway 1. The right lane is blocked, so you're going to want to stay left. So things picking up a little bit this morning. I bragged too soon. We're looking for a high today of 80 or 92. 92 with some isolated storms. Whew, currently 77.
So we discussed the teams that were preseason top 10 that did not finish the season ranked. Now it is time to see which teams are unranked to start the season that will finish the season ranked. Now, for example, last year, I believe the number was 13 teams ended up in the final preseason top 25 poll that were, or postseason top 25 poll that were not in the preseason top 25 poll.
We were one of them.
South Carolina was definitely one of them. Mm-hmm. But this is a game I play every year, and I'm always excited to do this because there's only one day a year that you can do this, and that is when the poll comes out, where we pick an unranked team to finish ranked at the end of the season. I'm on a drought right now. It's been like 3 years since I've picked one correctly, but there's a point system to it. So for every spot in the AP poll that you're in, so if you're 25, if the team you pick finishes 25th, that is 1 point. If they are 24th, that is 2 points, so on and so forth. And if an unranked team wins the national title and is number one at the end of the year, congratulations, you have reached the maximum point total of 25. So going through who is and is not ranked, we'll have to pick an unranked team that we believe will finish the highest in the AP poll at the end of the season. And if you picked South Carolina last year, you got a lot of points.
So if you would have picked South Carolina last year, or
would have been a wise pick,
or Illinois last year,
Illinois would have been a very wise pick.
That would have been Illinois last year.
Would have been a very wise pick.
That would have been a solid one. All right, I'm looking through these summer conversations now. If we're trying to pick a team, what are some of the things we would look for in picking this team?
What you're going to look for is experienced quarterback play, a manageable schedule, and I would say a good coaching pedigree. Good coaching pedigree, or maybe a lot of positive roster turnover. If Texas Tech was not ranked, they'd be a popular team, I would say, that is getting picked because they did so much in the transfer portal. They invested a ton of money, and they have a good quarterback. Baron Morton's not great, but I think Baron Morton's pretty good, just like every team in the Big 12 is pretty good. And they're in a league in which there is a lot of parity, so it is a risky pick because there will be a lot of 50-50 games. But like Arizona State last year, which if you picked Arizona State last year, congratulations. You saw that coming a mile away. You can be on the plus side if you just get a little lucky. So there's a few things to look for. And I'll go first here. And I think I'm going to go with Georgia Tech. I trust that coach in a favorable conference. Now, they do have to play Clemson this year. They will have to play Georgia. So they are playing two teams in the top 5 this year. But the bottom of the ACC, very manageable. Haynes King has been playing college football since
forever,
mm-hmm. Right? I mean, he's the ultimate check his birth certificate type of player. Not necessarily U-Haul All-American. He only transferred once. I reserve that title for the TJ Finleys of the world. But I like Haynes King, very old, runs that offense really well. And most importantly, that offense is quarterback proof because they had to play a backup a couple times last year and were able to win games because they got really competent backup quarterback play.
Okay.
A lot of returners, especially at some skill positions, and on the offensive line, they don't have as many returners. But Brent Key might be one of the best offensive line coaches in America.
Yeah, he's the dude for sure. Universally recognized as the guy. All right, I'm gonna see your Georgia Tech. I'm gonna go with the league where the motto is we're all pretty good.
It can be a safe place to go.
All right. That means there's a lot of 50-50 games, but that also means with that 50-50, somebody's going to win some games that they're not, quote-unquote, supposed to.
Yes.
That being said, he hates his players being on TikTok. He's been old. He's been a curmudgeon, and he's back. Give me West Virginia and Rich Rod.
West Virginia. I mean, and here's the thing about Rich Rodriguez. That offense is good in any era.
For sure.
It is good in any era, and the more that we get to a predominantly passing era of college football, the more offenses like that become, I don't want to say archaic, but rare. And preparing for them is different than preparing for any other team in college football. I find them to be interesting. They lost a lot in the portal.
I don't know if he has the raw ingredients to get it done in year one. But I do think it will be interesting, at least.
There's and that's an interesting pick because they did not receive any votes at all. Mm-hmm. So I like that you're really out of.
I should give both. I should adjust the game a little bit.
Going outside for no votes at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I probably should adjust that for if you pick a team that received no votes,
you get bonus
because out of the teams receiving votes, I picked Georgia Tech is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth on the outside, so they would have technically finished. Or they would technically be picked to be 31st. Mm-hmm. But West Virginia is really interesting because the Big 12, too, a league that is built to go worst to first. Arizona State was picked to be last season. Mm-hmm. And they proved that they could buck that trend from being picked last and staying last and going to first because, again, really good coach, good quarterback play, and they were in a conference that kind of allows you some margin for error. West Virginia is really interesting in that regard, too. And some of the players they have back, because they only have 4 returning starters on offense, but some of them are players that are perfect for a Rich Rodriguez offense. Like Jaheim White, running back, had over 800 yards rushing last year. Offense is a little different. It's going to be more run-oriented. There's a really good scenario that Jaheim White runs for 1,000 this year and takes that step. He's a really solid running back. Give me a solid running back and just acceptable quarterback play in that offense, then you're looking at somebody who's going to have the recipe for a successful season.
Yeah, it could work. Or it could implode because he could be too busy screaming at his players for being soft and all that type of stuff, which he's been on several rants doing. So that could be a possibility.
He has. He did hit on a pet peeve of mine saying, kids don't go outside anymore. Yeah, I mean, they do. I know I was outside as a kid. I'm older than all your players, but I was outside a lot as a kid. I know kids that go outside a lot now.
Jen, did you have a pick?
Ooh.
Nebraska.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that is good. Jen takes Nebraska. Oohs. Yes. That's exciting because the thing with Nebraska is that they've been so unlucky in one-score games. It's been coach-proof. It's been under Matt Rule. It's been under Scott Frost. Like, grass is green, water's wet. Nebraska has lost almost every one-score game. That can't continue forever. Mm-hmm. And if you're big on quarterback play, Dylan Raiola had to start as a true freshman last year. That's tough.
Yep.
That's a really tough position to throw an 18-year-old into because, again, if I remember correctly, he reclassified. So he was a younger freshman quarterback last year.
I didn't even realize that. Okay. I knew he was a sophomore this year.
Lots of talent. He's an incredibly talented quarterback. Mm-hmm. Nebraska's in a spot where if they get
changes,
if they get a
specifically offensive coordinator,
if they get a Big Ten scheduling break, which is not out of the realm of possibility. If I looking at Nebraska's schedule, it's not incredibly challenging non-conference. I mean, you have Cincinnati, Akron,
the
Houston
second half
Christian.
of the season's tough.
Yes, yeah, very. They do have to go at Penn State. Iowa's always a tough game for them, but Northwestern's on the schedule, Maryland's on the schedule, Michigan State's on the schedule. Who knows what Michigan is because they'll be playing more than likely a freshman quarterback this year. Mm-hmm. I like that. There's a lot of upside there. Jen Jensen
I'm
might
here
be
for
onto
you.
something. That's good. Give me something to think about because Nebraska didn't even enter my consciousness, but that's a good pick. So I've got Georgia Tech. Preston has West Virginia. Jen's got Nebraska. We have Impreston or Depreston coming up next. When it comes to ranking those in the roofing and waterproofing industry, Midstate Roofing has continuously been ranked at the top for nearly 30 years now because consistent results, consistent happy customers can get you up there. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing for 30 years and designs and installs those bonded systems with a protective guarantee. Not much in life is guaranteed, but Midstate Roofing can provide that to you. That keeps that operation dry and running long into the future. Look, it's like the offensive line of your home. The roof is mightily important to making sure you, your family, or your business dry and safe. Midstate Roofing is the best at ensuring that for you. Give them a call, 803-356-1919. You can call after hours and talk to a technician that they have on call or call during hours and speak to someone from Midstate Roofing. Again, if you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek or hit them up online, midstateroofing.com. It's coming up. The Game Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly The Nest in the Vista. It's going to be Friday, August 22nd at Charwood Golf Club. Now, the tee time, 9 a.m. Registration will start at 7:30, and there is a menu. There is food that will be provided. Onion sausage for breakfast, a mimosa bar from Saki's Wine and Spirits, and Firehouse Subs will be provided for lunch. And, of course, we have prizes. And even better, the golf gun, it's back. Like fanny packs. Kids love fanny packs.
Fanny packs. Still here.
Versatility.
Still here.
It is a good nod to the versatility of a good fanny pack. I used to make fun of my dad for having them, but now the kids eat it up.
Yeah, and really you can or have like a sling crossbody so that makes it a little more cool, a little more hip than just the actual fanny pack.
Fanny packs have evolved.
They've been rebranded as the crossbody, right?
Yep, I use them. Yep.
I don't know how much the golf gun has evolved, but if it has, it's scary, which means it's exciting, and you should check it out. $400 a team. Call 803-755-2000 and just press number 2 to sign up.
Can I say that actually the other night I had a dream about the golf gun? Because I've never seen it in person.
Oh, so it's this unknown entity to you.
Yeah, and it was a big blob thing. I don't know. But the fact that I'm dreaming about the golf gun, it's a little scary.
It means the promo's working.
It is
working.
Clearly.
It's working really well.
Yep. So
which means when you see it in person, it won't be as scary. And then maybe you don't have to dream about it.
That's true.
Because right now it's this big mystery.
Mm-hmm.
But then once you see it, you're like, okay, that's not as menacing as I thought it'd be. Or maybe it's more. I don't know. I haven't seen it. So I can't, in good conscience, give you that assurance right now.
Correct.
You can't see it and be like, this is worse. You sound like you're Robert Oppenheimer after seeing the atomic bomb explode. I've seen something. We have created something that we will never come back from as a society.
Correct.
So only one way to go see it. Just go see our Summer Golf Classic.
There.
Check it out.
Be there. Just for the golf gun itself. That's what I'm going to do. All right. In Preston or D. Preston, the golf gun. If you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Better. Okay.
I haven't seen it yet. To be determined.
TBD. Go put a pin in that one.
Mm-hmm.
But because we've been talking a lot, the theme for today's show being viewership and how they've changed, I'm just going to reel off certain broadcasts, and you're just going to tell me if they're in Preston broadcast or they make you de-Preston.
All right, let's go.
The SEC on ABC.
De-Preston.
It's not the same.
Doesn't feel the same, man. Does not feel the same. The music's different. The announcers are different. Doesn't quite work for me. It's fine. Doesn't quite de-Preston.
I'll say that. That's a good way of putting it. I thought it was fine. It was fine. It doesn't make me all tingly when I hear the theme song, and I don't get that same type of big game feel that I used to with CBS, and maybe that changes over the course of time. ABC and ESPN can certainly evolve to make it feel that way. The Big Ten on Fox.
De-Preston.
Not a fan.
Nah, the big noon game. Here's okay. My real issue is it all goes from the pregame show where I just don't like watching Urban Meyer on TV.
I don't either.
And that kind of, I don't really love any of those dudes, actually.
It's not the same lead-in. College Game Day is such a behemoth that they can't compete with
the lead-in show for me doesn't really work on those shows, so I tend to not watch. Put it like this. If it's an A-list Big Ten game or a C-list SEC game, I'll probably still watch the C-list SEC game. That's just the homer in me, though.
And there's a lead-in, right? Like, you don't have to change the channel. If you're mildly intrigued by that C-list SEC game, and that's the one that's coming on ESPN after game day, you don't have to change the channel. You can just keep it right there. Less work for you to have to do.
De-Preston.
The SEC Network making Jefferson Pilot obsolete.
Come on, man. You already know. De-Preston.
That's probably capital D.
Yeah. That's big time depressing, man, because they're going to take away something that we love, something that the wackiness. Though there is a contender. I don't know if this is on the list, but ACC on CW, very close.
Very close to having the weirdness, yes.
Very close to having the weirdness. They have the camera can, and there's all kinds of weird stuff happening. So if you're looking for that fix, ACC on CW, it might give it to you. It might restore that feeling a little bit.
And if after the game you're like, you know what, I want to watch a Gilmore Girls rerun, it's right there for you.
Supernatural's coming up.
Right after that. Criminal Minds rerun, coming right up, buddy. If you want a little mix-up on your Saturday and you don't want to just watch football all day, CW's
what a run Supernatural had on TV, like 20 years. Just
long time.
Just
really,
gosh, I didn't know
really
that.
successful.
Dang.
Yeah,
I'm
Supernatural,
kind of sad
man.
that you know. I'm just saying.
It sounds like Preston is a connoisseur.
Life takes
Supernatural.
you to some strange places.
Supernatural
absolutely.
places, you could say. And the CW is inching closer to being one of those places. 2 hours in the books, one more to go. We'll continue our conversation about changing college football viewership habits and where is maybe the future of this. Oh, and the players spoke yesterday. We'll hear from some of them when the early game continues.
Still have some stop and go traffic on I-77 southbound between I-20 and Forest Drive. So that's between exits 16 and 12, stop and go traffic. I-77 southbound at Percival Road, there is an accident there. Most likely that is contributing to some of that stop and go traffic. And then Two Notch Road at Oakway Drive, a report of an accident as well. And the forecast, we're still going to see some rain, but it doesn't appear to be a washout like we've had. Isolated afternoon or evening thunderstorms today and Friday. Some scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. Today's high 92, 90 tomorrow, 92 on Friday. And sun, it's actually working right now at 77.
Hour number 3 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. And our viewership habits have changed a little bit when it comes to college football over the years. It's kind of been the big theme of the day. I know Preston was inspired by UFC changing their entire pay-per-view model and signing with Paramount Plus for a lot of money.
Billions.
Was it $7 billion specifically?
7.7 if you, if the 7 matters, you can keep it or leave it.
I mean, $0.7 billion sounds good to me. I'd take the 0.7 off their hands if they just want to use that as like a write-off or something.
Right. I'm totally with, minus, not even, I don't have to have a full one.
Yeah. Not even a full one. Just a 0.7 would be cool. I'll take that.
0.07.
Oh, yeah. Or 0.007. I would take any of that, right? I don't even have to do the math of how much that actually is. I would take it. But the UFC certainly took it. And they're changing the entire way that people watch that sport. And college football is kind of similar, where they've changed exactly how you consume this thing over the course of the last few years.
So here's the thing. Right now, in college football, we have this opportunity where you will be able to watch every single game that the Gamecocks play this year. Mm-hmm. Every single game will be on TV. There was a time in the not too distant past where that was not the case, where you would be like, yeah, man, it's just not on TV. You have to watch the highlight or have to find out what happened. You have to listen to it on the radio. So the positive is that you will be able to watch every single game that the Gamecocks play on TV will be on TV somewhere. The negative is where, I don't know. It might be on ESPN. It might be on ABC. It might be on SEC Network. Might be on ESPN Plus. Might be on SEC Plus. I don't know where you're going to find it, but it will be on TV at somewhere, streaming at some point.
I kind of miss the days where if it was a non-conference game against a FCS opponent or a group of 5 or now group of 6 opponent, you had to listen to it on the radio. I do remember those days in the early aughts when I was a wee young lad asking my dad to get in the car just so we could listen to the game.
Mm-hmm.
I
top fan experience.
Yeah,
top fan experience.
I kind of miss that. And sometimes we'd listen until the game got out of hand because it was usually when Tennessee was playing Louisiana Tech. I remember listening to a Louisiana Tech game, a Southern Miss, MTSU. Like there were plenty of those games, not on TV, but I wanted to keep up with it. So just listen to it on the radio. Kind of miss having to do that.
Kind of miss the old listening to baseball games on AM.
Oh, wow.
The old AM dial. Mm-hmm. You would hear some of those and kind of the squelchy sounds in there a little bit. But, I mean, there was just something about it that, especially, and it was WGN because they stayed with it for obviously a long time on the AM. And there was just something kind of cool about that. I mean, yes, now I love the clear broadcast, but there's just something historic about the old, whatever.
Well, you say WGN, and one of the reasons why the Braves, the Cubs were so ubiquitous in sports fandom is because they were available. Mm-hmm. They were on
everywhere.
TV over just terrestrial air. You could watch those teams. And while we have more access to games, you can get access, but that access is going to cost you. And it's going to cost you in the form of getting another subscription, another bundle, another package, another service, another this, that, and the third. So you can have all of them. You can watch everything. You're just going to have to pay for it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we do live in a society now where if I want to watch my alma mater, who would never play on national television except for maybe once a year.
Mine either.
On a Thursday night. We can watch it. Mm-hmm. We could even have a Butler watch party for Jen because all we need is my ESPN Plus subscription. And we could do it. It would
be a terrible game, but that's okay.
It would be a terrible game, and I would learn what Butler football looks like because I don't think I realized they had a football team until pretty recently.
Yeah, it's nothing exciting, I can promise you. Kind of behind it's down a hill, kind of behind a theater. It's like you had the expanse of Hinkle Fieldhouse, and then over to the east, down in a little bowl. I think it's the Butler Bowl. I don't.
Oh, that's a great name for it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a fantastic name for
something that nobody goes to. Mm-hmm.
But in terms of how our game day viewership experience is, the Firehouse Subs text line has been a really good source of people talking about just like what they prefer to do, right, on game days. Really, like, the funniest thing was obviously the text we got earlier today, where it was the best way to watch college football is to walk around the tailgating spots and find the old man that has 3 TVs set up and stand in the background and watch his TVs for free. So when you see me doing that this season at Williams-Brice before a game, no, you didn't. You did not. I'm only there for a couple plays. I will be moving right along. I do not mean to completely intrude. But a couple of them are talking about, College Red Zone channel. Now, one texter says if they come out with a College Red Zone channel, I'll never leave the house again on the weekends, especially to go to a football game. And I think that type of stuff, and I don't think it'll be maybe Red Zone specific because of some of the obstacles that are going to be in the way of that, like conference-specific TV contracts, how much of a game that is being aired on Peacock or Fox can ESPN actually show you? Not much. You can't really do live look-ins for those because you don't have the broadcasting rights for those games, but you can show highlights from when, I guess, something happens, and there's so many games in a college football Saturday, too, that can make that really hard without going really conference-specific. But there's going to be, I have a feeling, a way that ESPN tries to kind of tap into that and tap into the short attention span that the average American has and be able to show them as much of college football at once. And that's going to completely, again, further evolve what college football Saturdays look like from a TV perspective.
Yeah, and I hear everybody saying that. I hear you, Texter, but I'm telling you right now, it's not what you want. You think this is what you want. You think you just want more options. You think you want to pick 20 different types of cheese to put on your burger, but really you're just going to go for 1 or 2 of them.
Going with the same one that I put on every burger.
Right.
Pepper jack.
Listen, man.
Pepper jack, number 1.
Red Zone, that's a spicy take. Red Zone is cool
cheese.
for the NFL. It's cool for the NFL. It won't work for college because NFL games don't get drunk like college football games get, where you could have a span of somebody fumbles a kickoff, then they come down, they miss the extra point, only to be returned. The kickoff from that was returned. Like, college football inherently is a game that can get really strange immediately. And the Red Zone does not have – you have to be sitting there watching this game and like, oh, what's happening? And my favorite thing about college sports, as I said earlier, is that you might not be watching the game, but you know somebody else that's watching the game and you get a text.
Nothing quite like getting that text.
Hey, man, you watching this Cal-Arizona game back when it was the Pac-12 after dark? Are you still up watching this game? Yes, I am, right? Those are the type of things that I think it makes college football special. And I'm not sure if the Red Zone, in the capacity that it is, would necessarily work for the overall viewing experience of college football.
Right. I don't think it would be the same. But that's one thing. The death of the Pac-12 has robbed us of Pac-12 After Dark because that was when things were really fun. Text to receive on Saturday night, here's how I'd rank them. Number 2, the U Up text. Number 1, tune into Washington State UCLA right now. That is how I am ranking them. 2 different levels of excitement, but one of them is greater than the other. And when you text me and tell me that Washington State just blew a 30-point lead to UCLA and both teams have over 500 yards passing in that game, buddy, I jump out of my skin. My soul leaves my body. And I am flipping to ESPN2 at the speed of light.
Yeah, man. That's the Red Zone.
Yes.
That's how it works. It's a underground communication group that you just send various texts like, yo.
This game's getting weird. And that's what I live for. That's an underrated part of college football is that type of unpredictability. I've had conversations with friends that's like, I just can't get into college football because the NFL is just so much better. Well, yeah, they're professionals, buddy. Yeah, and that's also why it's not as much fun to watch. The unpredictability, the drunkenness.
There's 2 different appreciations. When you watch the NFL, it is because of how precise it is. Everything is right on the mark. They make every single throw. Everything happens right when it's supposed to. That's not the same appeal of college football. Mm-hmm. That's a different thing. And the more we move towards evolution, growing, professionalizing the sport, you worry about if that's going to be leaving or not. But inherently, because these dudes are not professionals, because everybody's not at the top of the game, it means somebody could perform out of their mind one day, and somebody could perform like they are actually a 19-year-old accounting major.
Right. They then look the part.
It could happen, and that's the charm of the sport.
It's like Zach Calzada throwing for like 280 plus against Alabama, beating Alabama, and then having to then becoming a true U-Haul All-American and going from Auburn to Incarnate Word before getting back to Kentucky, right? Because there is such a variance in how he plays from really good to almost unwatchable, but that's what makes the sport so much fun. And here's the thing, too. I know we talk a lot, or we have been talking a lot about the TV experience and how with the prices of things going up, we had a texter send me a screenshot of parking passes. This texter is a Clemson fan, plans on going to Clemson LSU, and he was saying, I'm seeing a post for a parking spot that is running for $1,200. Sent the screenshot. I looked at it. Yeah, there's somebody trying to sell their parking spot for $1,200. And the crazy thing is, somebody will probably buy it.
Yeah, the market's there for it.
The market is there for it. And getting priced out of games is something that is a real thing across all sports. This is not even a college football specific type thing. But it's so hard to replicate the in-stadium atmosphere of a college football game because that's the one thing I think that really separates college athletics from pro sports. I've been to many college football games. I've been to many NFL games. And, brother, let me tell you, it is a different stratosphere with what a college football game feels like when it's a packed house in a hostile environment and the kids are going crazy. There is nothing quite like it. You'll never see field or court stormings in the NBA or the NFL. But it's so much fun when an upset happens in college sports and the entire collective loses their mind and does something that you wouldn't normally do, something that does violate a societal norm, like breaking a rule, right? Getting onto a field. There are things that happen in college sports games that are like the stories I've heard over the course of the years from friends and people that I've interacted with that have gone to multiple SEC schools of the wildness and the societal element of college sports when you go to a game being significantly different than it does in the NFL or NBA, MLB, doesn't matter. There is that element of you cannot replicate what a game day experience in the SEC is like on a week-to-week basis.
You cannot, and to their credit over there, they've done a great job of making Williams-Rice one of the best in-game experiences in the nation, whether it's the sandstorm, whether it's the LED lights, it's the band, cheer, all this stuff is happening, the DJ. It is an experience that you cannot replicate by watching on TV. And so that's where the conundrum comes. Yes, I understand everybody's saying about being priced out. It's difficult, but I would say you don't want to just live watching a screen. You gotta go kind of do life sometimes and
be outside.
It's not the same. There's pluses and minuses from both, but being in environments is not the same. And so that's one of the things that college football still has going for it is that going to that venue, that building, that stadium is a different experience than watching it on TV.
And we're very lucky to have that here. I mean, I had a bunch of friends that came into town to visit because I was able to get them tickets to the Missouri game last year. And, buddy, every single one of them afterwards was like, that was the most fun I've ever had at a football game. Like, the most fun we ever had. They're not Gamecock fans, but they love college football, and they got to experience that. And I find, later on, like that, especially during the Clemson game, that group of fellas that brought to South Carolina to watch that game were locked in on Carolina Clemson because they're like, this Lenore Sellers guy is so much fun to watch. Mm-hmm. And they were just so drawn in with the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. It's just such a hard thing to beat. So we can talk about the viewership habits changing on TV all day. And even though it is getting more expensive, it is still one of the best sporting environments to exist on planet Earth is going to a college football game. But what about the team that's going to be playing on the field in that environment at Williams-Brice Stadium? A few of the players spoke yesterday, and Casey Henry had some really interesting comments about how the offensive line is progressing because we all know that's going to be a vital part to the team's success. We'll hear from him next on the early game. The house is always rocking on college football Saturdays, and a wise American poet once said, if the house is rocking, don't bother knocking, come on in. That's Stevie Ray Vaughan. But if the house is rocking, then there might be concerns about the roof, right? You want everything in the house to be protected, and for over 30 years, Midstate Roofing has continued to be the leader in the industry of making sure that roof is optimal and it keeps your home or your business safe. Again, it doesn't matter if it's high-rise or hospitals, the job's manufacturing to industrial. You can get that protective guarantee that is a result of the designs and bonded systems that Midstate Roofing installs. And of course, they want me to remind you that you can protect the roof with a maintenance contract to continue giving you guarantees and assurance that that home or business is protected. Give them a call, 803-356-1919, or online at midstateroofing.com. If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Still kind of busy on the highways, Augusta Highway near I-20, also Emmanuel Church Road near Two Notch or at Two Notch Road, I-20 westbound after Clemson Road, I-77 southbound at Percival, Two Notch Road at Oakway Drive, and I-77 between exit 16 and exit 12. That'd be between I-20 and Forest Drive. Stop and go traffic in that area. And we are still going to see a few thunderstorms in the forecast later this afternoon, just an isolated one or two. 92 for the high, 90 tomorrow with some scattered storms. 78, but we have a mix of clouds and sun currently on the early game.
Well, we've been talking about viewership habits all day. Listening habits can change in certain parts of the state because starting Monday, August 18th, the game will be expanding into Charleston on WIWF. That's 96.9 HD3. So you'll be able to hear the game, not just in Columbia or Myrtle Beach and Florence like you have been for the last couple of years. You can hear us in Charleston. Again, 96.9 HD3. And as always, you can listen on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming on YouTube, The Game TV Radio. Yesterday, players spoke, and there are a lot of players speaking. Shane spoke as well. We'll get into more of that tomorrow. But some of the players spoke today. I think one of the biggest questions everybody has is what this team is going to be at the line of scrimmage. Defensive line, because of just the amount of players you have to replace. Offensive line, because that's been the thing that has been your Achilles heel the last few years. And you're trying to get to where that offensive line is good enough to where you can protect Lenora Sellers and you can be able to establish a really good run game, even if the worst-case scenario of Rasul Faison's eligibility case comes back to where he can't play. Any really good run-blocking unit can turn a average running back into a good running back. And it elevates a good running back into possibly a great running back. Mm-hmm. We've seen that plenty of times at the college level. Melvin Gordon was a really good running back in the NFL. He was a great running back at Wisconsin because he was playing behind an offensive line that had future All-Pros. Jen, yesterday, Kason Henry spoke, and I wanted to get to a couple of things here. First, when I talk about the offensive line and what their jobs are, protecting Lenora Sellers is one of them. So this is cut 23. Kason Henry on the offensive line and himself specifically striving to be able to protect Lenoris better in the pocket.
Yeah, I think that in any offensive line room in America, you try to strive for, 0 sacks, 0 pressures, anything like that. And I think that we've strived longer, harder this year. I think that we trained a lot harder over the summer just with Lonnie. Like one-on-one stuff, we come back in May. We do a bunch of extra work, stuff like that. And I can already see the improvement in protection in fall camp, just fall camp, like stuff that we're doing in fall camp, the different protections we're calling, the guys that are rolling out there to play. We've got more depth. We've been more successful in protection, even in practice against guys like Dylan and BT and all those good guys that we have up on the defensive line. So I'm impressed with how our group has been playing in pass pro, and I think that we're just going to continue to get better with the system that Shula has in place and, Lonnie's doing. So.
And I think the one thing he hit on there that I'm really intrigued with, and he expanded upon a little more yesterday too, he's got to face Dylan Stewart in practice every day.
Yeah,
and he mentioned having to play him every single day. He was even asked, how often do you see Dylan Stewart in practice? He goes, he just kind of looks and goes, well, every day, every snap, every play. He has to line up against Dylan Stewart. And I don't know if there is better football calluses that can be formed than having to line up against that guy on a daily basis.
That's where they talk about what the true value of depth is, and that's really in practice because you'll have so many dudes. You always hear the lore about those old Florida State teams, the Miami teams, where essentially the guy that was on the scout team was an NFL dude.
Was almost better than the guy that they're scouting and pretending to be.
Exactly. So Kason Henry, I can confidently say this, will not face anybody better than Dylan Stewart this year.
The entire season.
So that means his reps in practice are him getting quality competition every single day, and that does bode well for the future.
That excites me. That does excite me about the development of the offensive line because I believe Kason when he says that, they've trained harder this year in this offseason, more time with Lonnie. And this is a big year for Lonnie to be able to show that he can develop that offensive line.
Calls him Lonnie. Just want to note
on a first name basis.
Just want to note that.
Is that a reflection of how often they see each other?
I don't know what it means. I just noted that. I don't know what it means. I just want to note that for later.
No, I'm thinking about it. I didn't even really think about it at first.
Things you got to listen to when you listen in between you got to listen in between the beats. He called him Lonnie twice. Called him Shula. He didn't call him Mike. He called him Shula.
So
I don't know. Maybe Lonnie's a guy like, hey, man, just call me Lonnie. Maybe that's the deal.
Be.
Maybe I don't know. I just wanted to note that.
Kason's been there a while, too. So maybe he is on a first name basis with a lot of people in that building.
L-Dog, what's up?
Probably knows the first name of all the workers in that building, too. But that's the thing, too. We talk about the run game a lot of how important that's going to be. And clearly this team has an emphasis on that when they have it put up in the practice facility. This is something that they are wanting to judge themselves by, but that pass protection too. Lenoris is so much fun to watch whenever a pocket breaks down and he escapes it. The Houdini act is a marvel in its own right. But I think all Gamecock fans collectively would like to see less of that because the pocket is protected. Now, not less of Lenoris doing the stuff Lenoris can do, but you'd like to where it's not something he has to do, but rather something he gets to do in terms of if instead of running because the pocket breaks down, he gets to run because other team has great coverage, his mental clock is up, and he's got to go ahead and get out of there before he ends up taking a sack. And if those sack numbers go down, which is not just an offensive line stat, that is every bit of quarterback stat as it is offensive line. If that can go down in its totality, I think you are going to see a better long-term health of this offense, especially once you get into that murderer's row slate of your schedule where you're playing LSU, Alabama, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and you have to face all of them in order. You'll be more prepared for that if you're able to make a jump as an offensive line to being above average when it comes to pass protection.
Bottom line is they have to.
You have to. No
they
choice.
Have to. There's zero choice. For Kaysen, for any of those people that are returning, it is the time for them to either do it or do not do it. Yeah, I was gonna say another phrase, but we're not gonna do that at 8:30 in the morning.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Yes, strive. I appreciate them striving. I appreciate that, but it's not. They either have to play or not play, and this is where it is now.
And part of that is just gelling and just being able to get everybody together. And so much of what makes a really good offensive line is, yeah, you need to have a couple standouts in there, but if you can operate well as a unit, that's when the results come in. So with a mix of returning players and transfer portal players, Kaysen Henry was asked yesterday, and this will be cut 22, about how the room is right now and how they've been able to gel despite having that mix of returners and transfers.
Yeah, I think that this is probably one of the closest groups that I've been around since I've been here, just because we talk so much, we hang out so much, we do so much with Lonnie and outside of the building, and it's a really good-natured, close-knit group of guys. I think the freshmen really bought in, and so did the transfers, to what we're about in the O-line room, and I think that helps with meshing, with cohesion and stuff. And I think that we played really well together so far, and I'm excited to see what we do this season. I think it's going to be fun.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, you can't measure that, and people might dismiss it as being woo-woo or some sort of deal like that, but I can definitively say the best teams that I've been a part of, the best as a player or a coach, I can accurately say, and I bet you can too, that the best teams always just hung out around each other.
They like each other.
They like each other. The other teams, they might have worked with each other, they might have practiced with each other, and a couple people here or there. Never was like that. But all of the good teams I've ever been a part of as a player or a coach, they would just hang.
Yeah.
After practice.
Enjoy their company.
After meetings. You would practice with each other, and then all the whole same group goes over to somebody's apartment, or they go over to somebody's house if you're talking about high school or things of that nature. That's always been a consistent theme. And it doesn't have to be forced fun by hey, guys, let's go hang. Let's do team bonding. Not that. It's just, hey, man, we're just hanging. That's always been a thing. Does that translate to less sacks? I don't know, but I do feel like that's a positive.
It helps everybody act as a unit. And I think there is a lot of value to that as well. Kaysen Henry wasn't the only player who spoke yesterday. We'll hear from Judge Collier. We'll hear from DQ Smith. Mazio Bennett spoke yesterday as well. And Oscar Attaway taught us a little bit something about himself from last season. And we'll hear what he had to say. All of that coming up next here in the early game. I'm a firm believer that the hallmark of any great company is the deals they give you. What can they do for you? And Zero Res answers the bell because with it being August and kids are going back to school, they understand every dollar counts these days. So you can save big this month is for a limited time. And we don't have much time left in this deal for their back-to-school BOGO special. But it's better than just buy one, get one. You can get 2 rooms of carpet clean, and if you just mention my name, Elijah Campbell, or 107.5 The Game, you'll get an additional 2 rooms for free. Give them a call, 803-262-4020, and see what Zerorez can do for you, like having no soap lingering to attract dirt. Zerorez's zero water technology cleans surfaces without the use of detergents or harsh chemicals. That's a win for everybody. No soap, no residue, soft, fluffy carpets that stay clean longer. Or go to ZerorezColumbia.com to learn more. Zerorez, spelled backwards or forwards, it's the right way to clean.
I-20 westbound after Clemson Road, the right lane is blocked. I-20 westbound between Wilson Boulevard and Fairfield Road, the left lane is blocked. So exit 80, there's an issue, and then between exit 70 and 71 on I-20 westbound, problems in both of those areas. I-77 southbound between I-20 and Forest Drive, stop-and-go traffic continues from an earlier accident. Also an accident, Augusta Highway near I-20, Emmanuel Church at 2-notch, I-77 southbound at Percival Road. Looking for scattered or isolated thunderstorms later today, 92 for the high, 78 right now.
All right, players spoke yesterday. We heard from Case and Henry. We talked about this Gamecock offensive line, which one of the biggest X factors for this team, if you're just looking for something to focus in on during games to try to, give yourself a feeling of what the rest of the season is going to look like whenever toe meets leather in Atlanta in 434 and a half hours. But who's counting? The offensive line's one of them. But the strength of this team, I think the thing that fans probably don't have to worry about outside of the quarterback position, the thing you probably have to worry about the least, the secondary. Judge Collier spoke yesterday, and I think he's my breakout player candidate, and it was for several reasons. But one thing I did notice yesterday, before we hear from him, one thing I don't notice until I see him without pads, length. Those arms. He's got very long arms. And it's one of those things that stood out. I was like, man, he does. I mean, I've been told that they like his really good wingspan for somebody his height. Very impressive length. Great attribute for a corner.
Seems to be what Torian Gray favors as far as the archetype of the bodies he likes to play that style. The long, lengthy corners that can cover ground and things of that nature. So that makes a lot of sense.
One thing you might not just notice when they have pads on, but when he doesn't have pads on, he's standing in front of you. It's a lot different. I was like, man, yeah, he does have just, he's got like basketball player wingspan, right? Great for the cornerback position. But yesterday, this will be cut 19, he talked about what needs to happen this year to be able for the defense to continue to be opportunistic, if I can speak. But he was asked about maybe forcing turnovers, being more opportunistic, and what he needs to do to be able to be a part of some of those.
For me personally, just plays on the ball. I had left a lot of money on the field last year. So, when I get my hands on those balls, just being able to secure them and turn those PBUs into INTs.
Turn the PBUs into INTs, and that could be a really big difference. And he said last year there were a couple plays that kept him up at night where he had a play on the ball and just wasn't able to make it. That's the jump he wants to be able to take this year, and I think if he's able to secure that and he's able to turn some of those pass breakups and turn those into interceptions, then you are really looking at a player that has incredible breakout potential for this Gamecock team.
Yeah, nerds and dorks like us might like PBUs, but you make money from INTs, right? That's the things that changes the game. That's the things that changes your life as a player. And that's not going to be like, oh, man, this dude had 12 PBUs. Great.
So how many of them were picked off?
Yeah. And you could probably get into the analytics of, like, how many did he drop? How many, you know what I'm saying? Like, make the play when you get a chance to make it. That's what takes you to the next level.
And then you wanted to kill the cornerback stereotype of being a defensive player because you can't catch the ball, right? If you have this type of body, this type of skill set, oh, that's why he's not a wide receiver. Well, if you have really good ball skills and you break up a lot of passes, there's still quality to be had by being a defensive back. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what Judge Collier does this year from a defensive standpoint. Mazio Bennett talked yesterday, too, and this was one of the questions I wanted to ask a receiver at any point this camp in terms of perimeter blocking. Because you remember last year at the Old Dominion game, the one thing Shane Beamer said he was the most disappointed in on his team when they underperformed to start the season was the lack of perimeter blocking. It got better throughout the year, and I remember asking Shane again like 10 weeks later about the perimeter blocking, and he mentioned some of the improvements, but that it still maybe wasn't where he wants it. Better, but not where he wants it. So now going into fall camp with a lot of the same players, like Mazio returning, Nick Harbor returning, you've got tight ends that will be out on the perimeter blocking as well. Also guys that have been in this program for at least a year. Are they further along in camp this year when it comes to perimeter blocking and those fundamentals than they were this time last year? This is cut 21 when I asked Mazio Bennett that question.
I feel like everybody in our receiver room has gotten bigger, faster, and stronger. I feel like blocking is blocking, and we going to do it, you know what I'm saying? With the workouts that we do with Coach Day, we moving heavy objects every day. So I feel like blocking is not going to be a problem.
What better way to practice blocking than moving heavy objects every day? And if there's anything that I hear about Coach Luke Day, those workouts are intense, and you are certainly moving heavy objects, heavier objects than what you're going to be required to move on Saturdays.
Yeah, but see, the thing about wide receivers blocking, it's not a skill thing. It's a want-to issue. Do you want to block? Not can you block. These dudes are Division I athletes. They can do it. But do they want to? Because most of the time, wide receivers don't want to block. They want to run routes. They want to catch balls. They want to, like the old Coach Bennett, they want to be the cats. We need some dogs. Right? We need some dogs. That's what I think. That's what I think. Coach Furry might have brought that mentality to the room. The old saying, "No block, no rock."
Ooh,
right?
Yeah, that's good.
Hey,
that
you don't block, you don't get the ball. And
you
make that very, very clear, and you state that early. Hey, man, this is part of your job description. You need to make sure you do it. Yeah, lifting weights is great. I'm glad. I hope you did a great job in the summer. But more importantly, do you want to block? And that's the thing that I think Coach Furry's probably brought to that room.
Is getting the dog in them, right?
Yeah,
is
man.
helping them
Listen,
grow
man.
that.
Wide receivers, that's not what they're there for. They're there to catch balls, be pretty.
Yeah, score
They're not
touchdowns.
there to block unless you get the ones that are there to block, and then those dudes are really scary.
They like scoring touchdowns and tweeting cryptic stuff, which for some reason, out of all player tweeting archetypes, receivers love being more cryptic with things than any other position.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, who would say that yesterday on the internet, maybe one of the more mercurial wide receivers would just post a picture of him and his son sitting in front of Giants Stadium at the Meadowlands and just post a picture up there? Nobody would think that wasn't Odell Beckham's retirement picture, or did they? And then he goes along to say that, oh, why would y'all think that about me? Why would you? Because, dude,
You didn't clarify anything.
you did a wide receiver thing. You know what I'm saying?
You did
You did the most wide receiver thing you could do. So, yes, wide receivers, cryptic tweets on brand.
I like the message from Mazio Bennett, but I more so appreciate the messenger, because when Jared Brown was asked about that last week, about how wide receivers are blocking, how maybe can you get past or be at a better spot in week 1 in 2025 than you were in 2024 in just that aspect of the game. And he mentioned Mazio by name. It's the first thing that comes out. Like, the guy leads by example when it comes to having that will to block or displaying that will to block on the perimeter and do some of the little things that contribute to winning that won't pop up in stat sheets, that won't be on your YouTube highlight reel. But you hear the stories about what Mazio Bennett did last year in practice. And one of the reasons he got to play as a true freshman is because he's going out there and popping dudes in practice.
Yeah.
He's going out there and laying the lumber on people, and he's showing other wide receivers. And it's good as a freshman to show that and encourage the older players, like, oh man, I need more snaps. But when he gets a little older and into this program for a couple of years, the freshmen that come in, especially this freshman class that has already shown they have a ton of talent, and we all know they're very talented because they're highly rated recruits. They watch that and they say, wow, it doesn't matter how high I can jump, how fast I can run, how great I am on contested balls. If I can't block like that guy, I don't play.
No blocky, no rocky.
And Mazio Bennett's the perfect example of it. No blocky, no rocky. You might start putting that on a T-shirt, and that T-shirt would be a winner. We're going to give out our winners of the show to round out today's edition of the early game.
Hey, it's Jen for Carolina Stone Craftsman, just outside Columbia in Chapin. And I'll tell you what, from customer idea to fabrication to installation, every step of the process was meticulous. They understand that, kitchen or bath projects can be really a significant investment, and that's why they really do make it a priority to deliver the most affordable granite, marble, and quartz, while at the same time delivering the highest quality counters and the service that you definitely expect. They have an incredible showroom that you can see right there. They actually have an outdoor showroom that they're finishing. There's hardscapes that they can do, and I can't wait to tell you more about that, but it's absolutely incredible. But our entire process was great. When the installation was done, they cleaned up. It was absolutely fabulous. I encourage you to reach out to Carolina Stone Craftsman if you're looking for countertops for your kitchen or bath, and tell them Jen Jensen sent you. They are family owned and operated. Very important to me. Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia in Chapin and beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com.
Tickets to a lot of sporting events are expensive. And if we're giving out winners, we might as well give out a big winner for tonight, who we don't know who it is yet, because we still have one family 4-pack of tickets to give away for Columbia Fireflies versus the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. In terms of Pelicans, Zion Williamson ain't walking through that door, but the baseball team in Myrtle Beach will be. That's tonight at 7:05 over at Segra Park. And if you are caller number 1 at 803-404-6100, you will be the winner. And if you hear Jen's voice, then rejoice, because you will get to bring your family to the ballpark tonight. And we talked about how expensive going to games are now. No better way to do it than to get some tickets for free just by listening to our program.
100%. Yep.
100%.
We're givers.
We are, exactly.
And we like winners.
We like winners, and we like free stuff. We've already given away the free stuff. Now it's time to give winners. Preston Thorne, your winner for today's show.
Well, we've been talking about conversations about how our viewing habits and how we watch games and what we do when we watch games and all those types of things, and streaming and the ESPN Plus, SEC Network Plus, ESPN Plus, ABC, Pluto, Paramount,
Pluto
Amazon
TV
Prime,
plus.
CW. Jen, can I get my winner, please?
She's giving away tickets. But this is the winner.
This is my winner. That's right. SEC on CBS. Vern Lindquist, Brad Nessler, Garrett Danielson, my dudes. That tune, it gives you the good feels every time you hear it.
Oh, yes.
That is my winning. You don't need to stream it. You don't need to go in some fancy box. You just turn on CBS Channel 2, Channel 5, wherever you are. It's right there, 3:30.
Oh, I feel like I'm about to watch Florida, Georgia right now.
What a winner. That's my winner.
That's
SEC
such a
on
good
CBS,
winner.
that's my first winner.
Now, this winner doesn't have the same cool theme song as this, because that makes you want to run through a wall out of excitement. Jefferson Pilot Sports.
Ooh.
Long live JP in the weird noon kickoff game.
Noon kicks.
Fox has the big noon kickoff. Jefferson Pilot was the originator of the weird noon kickoff. You want to watch Vanderbilt, Kentucky? Buddy, we got you. You want to watch South Carolina, Kentucky? Buddy, they got you. You want, some Arkansas Ole Miss action at noon when everybody in that stadium is hungover or already well lubricated for that game and only weird stuff will happen? They got you covered. Dave Neal, underrated broadcaster too. Those games were so much fun. Jefferson Pilot used to be a nice, fun institution on its own.
Fun institution. All right, so I'm going to flip this concept on its head a little bit. We've been talking about streamers. We're talking about our viewing habits on TV. I'm going to give my next winner to Williams-Brice Stadium.
Yes.
Because
love that.
While it is awesome to watch the games at home on TV with your barbecue 20 feet away in your bathroom right there, that's awesome. That's very convenient. Nothing like being in the stadium.
An irreplaceable sensation.
You cannot replicate the feeling of 80,000 of your closest friends screaming, gasping, yelling, cursing, whatever it is that you're doing at that moment in a stadium, in a communal atmosphere. It's awesome, and Williams-Brice Stadium is one of the best atmospheres in college football, and we have that here. So I know it costs, I know it's inconvenient, and I know it probably sucks a lot of times to do it. There's traffic. But when you get in the stadium and you get to experience those moments, I think it's priceless.
I remember the first time I watched a South Carolina football game where I was like, I really noticed the atmospheres when they beat Alabama in 2011. And, of course, I'm watching that game. I'm a lifelong Alabama hater. I'd watch that game cheering for South Carolina. I was a Gamecock fan for 3.5 hours as a high schooler. But I'm watching that game, and I'm noticing they're playing Sandstorm, and I'm seeing how that crowd's going. And I was like, oh, my God, that would be awesome. Like, that just looks like so much fun. And the first time that I got to be in the stadium and get to see it, completely different. It went through the TV really well, but it still doesn't capture how much fun that stadium is on Saturday. And I mentioned this earlier in the hour, too, when I had friends come over to South Carolina. Their first time ever coming to the state, for some of them, the state of South Carolina. First time going to an SEC football game for a couple of them, or at least in a long time. And the first thing I got afterwards was, that was the coolest football environment I've ever been in.
That rocks.
That was like the general consensus, right? And immediately, hey, which game should we go to next year? Do you know what the schedule's like already? Which one should we go to next year? And they were going to come back this year, and I think they want to come to the Alabama game. Like, I might not be able to get you tickets, but we can get you around the stadium, and you can maybe get some scalped. The price of those going up a little bit, but I'll see what I can do. But they want to come back so bad just because of that environment.
Agreed.
And I think that's a huge, huge winner for today. And another one, Pac-12 After Dark. We can't mention it as much anymore because it's no longer a thing. The Pac-12 died unnecessarily, but I'm telling you, I've never been more nostalgic than telling you about those texts I'd get. Hey, Washington State, UCLA, we're going to overtime. Buddy, I am changing that channel.
Timmy Chang just threw another touchdown.
Timmy Chang just threw another one. Or, oh my God, Oregon and Oregon State is nuts right now. Miss that. You can never replace that. But we'll be back again tomorrow, 6 a.m. Tyler Head, The Extra Point, with Jack Veltri. That's next.
Preston here for our friends at Cato's Power Equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been serving the Midlands since 1983. That's over 40 years. That's a long time. But they've been working for you this whole time. And at Cato's, they're proud to offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something,